welcome to another episode of the Winding Stairs. I am your host, Juan Sepulveda, and today I am delighted to bring you yet another episode of the Traveling Brothers. Here we have today a familiar face. You have worshipful Manny Lozada. We have a repeat guest, Ivan Becerra. And here for the first time with us, we have Brother Craig Frazier. Welcome to the Winding Stairs. We've done this before where we sit together on a trip, going to some Masonic function, and we have a conversation about Masonry, hopefully for us to grow together as brothers, but also to help you get some insight into some different aspects of the fraternity. Today we're going to be talking about politics and religion. And a lot of people say, you shouldn't be talking about politics and religion. Well, not in open lodge. Whenever our meetings are happening, we don't talk about politics or religion. Manny, in your experience, why would you say it is important that we don't talk about politics and religion in the lodge?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me in your show. The main reason politics and religion are not included in a lodge environment is because those are, of all the different topics that a man can talk about and be passionate about, those two are the ones that divide people the most. People are very passionate and very opinionated about their political beliefs, as well as the religious beliefs. In both of those aspects, people try to recruit. They want to recruit more for their political cause, and they also want to recruit for their religious beliefs. So the lodge is a place where we all meet on the level, and we try to help each other grow as men. So by excluding those two main contention topics, we can have more harmony in our meetings.
Yeah, and those are very personal topics, right? We've had many experiences together, but like, for example, Craig, I've never ever had a conversation with you either about religion or politics. We've talked about business, we've talked about our Masonic experience, but never about those two topics. Now, is it possible for men to have a close connection, a very good, strong friendship without talking about those topics, in your opinion?
I believe it is. If especially if your friend is a brother Mason, then he'll understand why you wouldn't want to discuss that. If he's not, then he may be more tempted to discuss those types of things with you, and sometimes that's okay. Especially with, in my case, being a Freemason, I'm tolerant to other people's beliefs and opinions, right? So I can definitely have a conversation without becoming overly passionate, and at the same time, I think you can control how passionate the other person comes across just by the way you react with them, right? So
yeah, that's
I
a
think
great
that's
point.
Possible.
That's a great point, especially nowadays we're all super connected. So when we go home, we open up our Facebook page and start seeing what everybody else has posted, it's inevitable that you're going to come across the post of a friend and brother that is from a political nature. Have you encountered any of that recently, Ivan?
Not recently, but
So you haven't turned your computer on then? I'm
no.
kidding.
I try to avoid computers, but my job keep me busy on that.
That's true.
But I think that we should include also sports. People get very passionate with sports.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I I've seen people opinions, brothers' opinions, mostly on Facebook. I'm an old guy. I still have Facebook, and I just, I won't say I ignore them, but I just scroll up. Don't pay too much attention to what I say. Some brothers go really passionate on their opinions about politics. Just got an elections, and people start going a little crazy. But I just try to scroll up.
Yeah.
It is what you said is interesting because, yeah, I've been in masonry for 10 years now, and I don't remember ever talking with a brother in outside the lodge about politics or no religion.
Yeah.
And I think it's anyways interesting. As Grace said, as long as you keep your composure, you don't get too excited or upset. I mean, it's a valid conversation.
Especially when you think about some of the early lessons that we get in masonry, right? When you're presenting working tools that help you keep your passions within due bounds. Like, your opinion about politics and religion can be a very passionate one. People really care deeply about these things. Now, you can't blame people for putting so much importance into topics of that nature, because these are topics that have a profound impact on the lives of everybody. So, for people who have a specific religious point of view, they may be worried about your salvation. They may be worried about your well-being in the afterlife. So, if they love you, they're going to want to make an effort to make sure that you are on board with whatever they believe. Now, there are people that don't believe just like you. They know there's a creator, they know there's a deity, but they don't subscribe to a specific religious dogma. And there can be contention there, right? So, I want to give you some insight into how I deal with some of whenever I encounter, especially on social media. I'm very active on social media, on all platforms. If you don't follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, make sure you follow me. But the whole point is, like, I'm there all the time. So some of the relationships that I'm building with people virtually. And then we meet occasionally when I go to their lodges or we're in the same area. But I have access to so many brothers from all over the country and all over the world, and they have very precise opinions. I have to admit, there are moments where I am disappointed to see some of the posts that people put out. But that's normal. I can be disappointed into recognizing, oh, this person is very passionate about this topic and he believes in something different than I believe. Now, where I keep my passions within due bounds is not allowing that disappointment to evolve into resentment. Because that's difficult. Like, once you open up that door, you give a little breathing room for resentment to creep in, then that taints the rest of the relationship. Now you start looking at that person through the filter of politics or through the filter of religious beliefs, and then you may not even give them a chance to. You may not be fair in your dealings with them. Has that ever happened to you, where you find someone, Manny, who has an opinion that kind of surprises you? It's like, oh, I'm surprised that he would post that on his page, or he would make a video about that. Has that happened to you?
Oh yes, many times.
It has it. How do you feel that affects your relationship with them?
Personally, I do feel the impact of something. It may be unexpected. Sometimes it's expected. Sometimes I felt like, okay, yeah, I thought this person would say something like this, the way that I know him. And I don't let myself be too impacted by by the words or the memes that the person is posting or saying, because at the end of the day, we have an obligation towards each other, and our obligation goes past that mere influence of religious or political beliefs.
True.
We have the Masonic Brotherhood is the brotherhood of men under the fatherhood of God. Politics and religion are human constructs, and the love of God for His children transcends all of that, and that's how we should have to view it, with that kind of lens, that this is, our relationships, Masonically speaking, are beyond the mundane religious beliefs or politics.
Yeah, I like that. Very beautifully said. If you're enjoying this episode, you will love our newly redesigned website, thewindingstairs.com, where you will find free access to our entire podcast catalog. By visiting thewindingstairs.com, you will also discover our growing collection of Freemasonry-inspired art. That's right, bring elegant artwork featuring the profound symbols of Masonry to your home, office, or lodge. You'll be happy to know that we've also expanded our apparel collection to include new, discreet designs in sizes up to 5XL. We can't wait for you to see them. Support our efforts to share Masonic education and inspiration by visiting thewindingstairs.com today. Thank you. Now, I can tell you how to ruin that, though. You want to know how to ruin it? Comment on that post with something opposite to it. And part of our, in my opinion, part of our keeping our passions within due bounds, or circumscribing ourselves, it comes with having the prudence of knowing, oh, this is not a good one for me to get involved in. Especially if you have someone who is very opinionated about one of those aspects, religious and politics, and to the point where they're going to broadcast to the world their opinion. I don't think they're a swing voter. I don't think they are on the fence with their religious beliefs. I think they're pretty much ingrained in whatever belief they are. So you commenting something either snide or something condescending, or trying to be witty about your response, never contributes positively to the interaction. All it does is just nudges them, forces them to stand even stronger in that belief, and now you've become the target. Now you have put yourself within arm's distance of this individual.
Even if you try to make a joke out of it, try to be
God
funny.
forbid.
Oh yeah, that's even worse.
That's the word, because sometimes it doesn't come across right.
Yeah.
I felt many times that I want to answer some of these comments, and I even go to the length of typing it.
Me too.
But then I delete it.
Yes.
Because it's not worth it. It's really not worth having a kind of a competition on belief systems. You are never going to change a person to your beliefs, no matter how much you try, because it's not really what we're here for.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it is our task is to elevate each other,
Yeah.
and not to put us hinder each other to the point of maybe after that interaction you probably would not be speaking anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Now, I have to push a little bit back on that approach, only for the reason of that we may have brothers that look up to us. I know that there are brothers that see you, Craig, in your positions of leadership within the York Rite, and they know that you have more information to share with them about your relationship with the Creator, and that you perhaps can help them in their own journey. So, what cautions would you say you should take if you are in a position like that and people come to you for some sort of advice or guidance when it comes to a religious point of view?
I think you need to keep in mind that there's a lot of different sects of religion, lots of different opinions, and you need to keep in mind the basic precepts that, like Manny said, we're all brothers under God, and the rest of it is man-made. But you have to keep it open and just be very general about it, and don't get too specific and insert any of your own personal beliefs when you're discussing those types of things. Now, if it's a person that does prescribe to the same religion as you and they follow the same beliefs as you, then you could definitely go deeper on the subject at that point, I think.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Because then it becomes a dialogue that is moving in the same direction, as opposed to a tug of war where two individuals are conflicting in the progress. Now, Ivan, you and I, and Manny as well, we've seen and I'm gonna assume that you've also have this to share with us, Craig. In Latin America, we have some heroes that were Masons, but they were political in nature. So the example that comes in Puerto Rico, we have a lot of brothers who were involved in politics and made a difference in the island. But the one that comes to mind that we may all know about is Simon Bolivar. I'm going to do an episode about Simon Bolivar because he was known as the liberator. This was a man who was going throughout all these South American and Central American countries, bringing this message of liberty and equality and fighting against the tyranny that some of the governments had.
He never conquered.
Say it again?
He never conquered.
He never, exactly. It was almost like he was like a pollinator, going from flower to flower, spreading that pollen. Now, the reason I bring that up is because of the idea that Masons don't get involved in politics or don't speak about politics is flawed. We do speak about politics. We do get involved in the political process, but we do so obviously outside of the lodge, and we are putting into practice some of the lessons of Masonry in our efforts to help from a political point of view. Like, for example, if we talk about liberty, equality, fraternity, like those are the three key words in the French Revolution, and they line up hand in hand with our Masonic beliefs. So here's the question. After all that preamble, my question to you, Ivan. Do you think that maybe Simon Bolivar spoke with his fellow brothers about politics at some point?
Definitely yes. What I understand that he became a Mason back in London while living there. He was a very wealthy man. He was educated in Europe and all that. And while being in London is when in England is when he becomes a Mason. And then all the French Revolution happened. We have another hero from our country, is Francisco de Miranda. It's called the Generalissimo. His name is in the Arch of Triomphe in France. So he participated in that. He participated in American Revolution too.
Look at that.
And he came back to Venezuela and helped to initiate that. And there is another story after that things went sour between him and Simon Bolivar.
Yeah.
But definitely all those freedom or independent thinkers, I think that they get together in lodges and talk about it. About this is the monarchy, this is an oppression, taxes, this and that, and then is when all the revolutions in America, I think, started pretty much at the same time.
Yeah. Money.
I want to interject here as well, because When we say that we don't talk about politics or religion in the lodge, that's exactly what it means. While lodge is open. Now, while lodge is closed, in the lodge or in the building, you can talk about politics or religion all you want. I mean, obviously, in our conversation, we've been talking about how do we react to conversations like that in social media or in person, and that applies as well. I mean, we always have to be tolerant as Masons. Now, let's say, for example, that you have a discussion in a tiled lodge about some kind of political movement or some kind of, you want to talk about a religion, for example. You want to make you did a research paper on a religion of the world, and you want to talk about it and share it with your brothers. You can definitely talk about those things because the context is different.
Yeah.
So I imagine that the liberation movements of America, for example, Washington, Franklin, Bolivar, and many others, I believe they did have their discussions in lodge talking about, as Masons, we do not support tyranny. We support liberty, and those concepts that Masonry inculcates in us. Let's put it in practice, and I think that was more or less the context which their conversations were based on.
Yeah. Especially if you think about the kind of men that not only join the fraternity, but also the kinds of men that evolve within the fraternity. Like we're talking about, we take good men and we make them better. Wouldn't you want the leaders of your country to be involved in Masonry? For them to originally be these men of good report, men of good manners, men of virtuous men, right? These are the kind of men you want in leadership positions in the world. So whenever people say, oh, did you know that almost all American presidents were Freemasons? We know that is an exaggeration. We know of 14, if I'm not mistaken, to have been confirmed to be Masons. But 14 out of 46, that's a significant chunk right there, right? But the point is that we do want men of character, men of integrity, men who have spent their lives seeking more moral rectitude and seeking a virtuous life. Those are the men we want to look up to. Those are the men we want to put in their hands the troubles of our countries so that they can be just, temperate, they can be good stewards of our problems so that we can come out with solutions that impact positively everybody else. Greg, would you say that there are those kinds of men within the lodges? Like, have you seen men within lodges or, within our fraternity that you say, you know what, I think you would make a good senator, or I think you would make a good mayor?
Oh, definitely. We have some really strong leaders within Central Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Several I can think of that I would think of in that capacity, because they do practice outwardly and very visibly those tenets that we hold dear of Freemasonry, especially being tolerant of religions and even politics at that point. So that a person like that can give a more fair assessment, like you said, to be just, I think. So yeah, there's several.
Excellent. What I would say to the brothers watching or listening, think about those things that we've talked about. Politics and religion, yeah, keep them outside of an open lodge. Keep them out of your meetings, because you don't want to bring any kind of animosity or harbor any kind of resentment among the brethren. But that doesn't mean separate yourself from the political process or neglect your spiritual growth. These are two very important things for you to embrace in a healthy manner, and by conversing, by having a interaction with other people in relation to those topics, especially people that you admire, people that you look up to, you have the potential of having an impact in your community, having an impact in your family, or even society as a whole if things go the right way. So don't be shy about learning more about politics and religion. Keep it out of the meetings, but grow in those topics, because pretty much society depends on your involvement in those things. Brothers, I want to say thank you for spending this little bit of time with me here, having this conversation. Hopefully the listeners got some value from it. I'm super curious to hear from them. So if you've had any experiences where people are bringing politics or religion into an open meeting, being discreet, let me know how that went in the comments. Or if you've had any kind of interactions related to politics and religion with your brethren that have opened your eyes to seeing things from a different perspective, we would definitely love to hear that. And the people from the Winding Stairs will definitely benefit from your life experience. Before I say goodbye, I want to say real quick thank you to all our supporters on Patreon who month after month say, I'm here for you, Juan. Let's keep on spreading this message so that people get to learn more about Masonry in a proper way and get involved in their lodges. If you want to learn more about the benefits that they unlock by being members of our Patreon community, head over to patreon.com/JuanSepulveda, and we look forward to hearing from you there. That's not the only way you can support us. If you found any value in what we're talking about, make sure other brothers get a hold of it. Share it in your lodge's blog, go to your Facebook pages, share it on Instagram, wherever you think your brothers are going to be more receptive to learning more about the things that we talk here in the Winding Stairs. I would greatly appreciate it. So as always, thank you so much for watching and for listening. And until next time, may your steps be firm and your path illuminated as we continue our journey up the Winding Stairs. Winding Stairs. And cut. How's your arm?
Good. I'm gonna push that button again.